Here's our trip to Iceland, mostly in the lower portion of it, where they have
geothermal power. Free power to everybody.
This is one of the power plants. They use geothermal power since they have a lot of it there. They also run a lot of greenhouses.
For them to make food.
Now back in 2008,
they had a pretty good size 6.3 earthquake. And it was south of the town that we were going through. And
here is some of the devastation on the inside of stores and the gas station.
What a mess.
So that was a 6.3. We actually were in the 6.9 in California when that happened in
October of 89.
89.
Loma Prieta. And that was scary too. Was as much devastation.
I think this would be worse because you have all the stuff falling in on you.
Yeah.
We were outside.
Yeah. And they're not earthquake proof. I mean, they don't get a lot of earthquakes out there. In Iceland.
In Iceland. Well, they do get some, but not this big.
But not this big. But they do have volcanoes that do erupt.
Yeah, they are volcanic. A lot of volcano activity still. Which created this rift in the floor of this building that they kept. They put in different lights down there, but that's not really lava or anything. But you can actually stand on or across this rift, which is the North America plate and the European plate.
Tectonic plates, and you can see the sediments coming down the mountain there, all from the various volcanic flows, I believe.
And then Iceland has a lot of waterfalls. I thought they'd have a lot of ice.
Really big waterfalls. Quite large. Looking at it from a distance. As you walk down and get close, it's very loud, very noisy, and very big.
This one happens to have a fish ladder along the side of it. There it is.
On the left. For the salmon to make.
And there's a person down there, so you can tell the difference here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge waterfall compared to some of the other ones we saw. And then we go to the geyser area, where we have actual geysers.
Geysers.
They say geysers. But this is not Old Faithful. It doesn't do the same thing every time, but it does go up in the air.
That's the slow-mo version.
And it's not consistent. It does go off every, what?
About 5 minutes
3
or
to
so.
5 minutes. And then there's another one.
That was right after the first one.
And that's the same geyser. And then we have hot pools.
With really good-looking colors.
Yeah, nice hot tub.
From the minerals. Except it was super windy and it was actually raining too.
Yeah, so I'm not sure you want to get in a 180-degree pool.
It's a little hard to
see. More than
that.
Here's one of the bigger ones.
This was a gorgeous 3-level waterfall. And you could walk out to where the people are.
On the left. And get wet.
And got wet. It was really fun. But it was just beautiful the way it was set up.
Nice. And then we have the Icelandic horses.
They're just short.
Yeah. And then we have dairy cattle, which to me don't look like dairy cattle.
But the ice cream was really good.
Yeah, they had a creamery next to it selling ice cream. So, but it's nice and cool and cold there for dairy cattle. And then some of the farm equipment that they had on display, which is the old-timer stuff.
Yeah, and the native trees are those silver birch-type trees. Those are the only native trees to Iceland. The next morning we went to the lava tube, which you can barely see.
You can't see it above ground. Well, that's how they found it, is that the construction guy on the road crew went out to do his business and fell in.
Busted up a leg and they had to go find him.
They eventually found him, and they found the lava tube.
So here's where we're going in. Obviously it's underground. There were a couple of open spots, but as you went further into the tube, it closed over and there weren't any sun.
There was no natural light.
Yeah. Dark. Very, very dark. They've got this part lighted for tourists, but...
And a walkway.
Yeah, so you don't walk on the stuff.
They still have some snow in there, too. There is some white splotches here and there, and that is bacteria. I think it's the only known place that the bacteria live, this bacteria. There is no light, there's no heat, and NASA came to study this bacteria because it could live out in outer space, basically. So is it really alien life form?
It would seem like it.
And then you have the drippings off the side of the lava tube from the cooling of the lava.
This is, yeah, it looks like stalactites, but it's actually lava. And then you've got red stones, which are iron oxide.
Iron oxide. And there are no bats in Iceland, so there's no bats in the cave. And they had different colored lights set up. So they also would conduct weddings down here.
Yeah, he was telling stories about various different weddings.
And losings of phones.
Yes, these people do definitely.
Because once you drop your phone, you can't retrieve it because they won't let you off the platforms.
Right. And when it goes dark and he turns off the lights, it is so dark you cannot see anything. After that, we went kind of cruising along the countryside, and we found another set of hot pools here at Gunna. Gunna was the witch, and
the guy was trying to trap the witch in the steam.
Hot pool.
Build a bridge over it, which I'm not sure why he built a bridge over it. Tried to trap her there or something. Well, whatever. And this was out towards the edge where they have a lighthouse. There it is.
Yeah, we're still on the southern part of the island, more of the southwestern part. But this is where the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, between the two plates, the section where the two plates, the Eurasian plate and the North American plate, spread apart. Because this part is where
you can't touch both of them.
You can't touch them both there. Although I was trying to.
You gotta stretch more.
But this is, this rift, they call it, is also part of the place where we went diving called Silfra.
Here's the little spot in here where the two plates
still
almost
part of
touch.
The ridge. They almost touch.
Dive platform. We actually went diving, which means you need a dry suit certification because it's only, 38 degrees?
38 degrees. And
Fahrenheit.
That was cold water. My God, that was cold water. It was beautiful, crystal clear, fresh water.
From the glaciers.
Yeah, from the glaciers.
They've been running under the ground for 70 years.
So definitely filtered.
I don't know how they determine 70 years,
I don't know
but
either.
it's very fresh, filtered glacier
Beautiful.
water.
And the two plates are right here, and this is where the rift is the closest together, and that's our dive guide showing that we can touch both of them at the same time, and this is where you want to take the pictures. So Greg hands off the camera to the dive guide.
Hopefully. There we go. Over it goes. Here I am, touching both sides.
Get him.
Trying not to freeze.
Keep going. This is one of the other guys that was diving with us. And there's me.
There she is, touching both sides.
Get the picture and decide that I'm done with the dive, because at that point, just after that, my dry suit inflates all the air to my feet, and I go head over heels, or heels over head, really.
Air goes up.
And I can't get turned around and go back up.
She couldn't ride herself.
I couldn't ride myself, so I finally get up there and decide that I'm done. Greg finishes the dive, and that night we go and look for the Northern Lights.
After a full day, we go off at night.
Yeah, because the dive was late in the afternoon. So the Northern Lights.
So if you can pick out the green in these
videos,
pictures, a little of both in here. These are not easy to see with your naked eye.
They're horrible to see with the naked eye. They're bright. They're not bright.
They're better with the camera.
They're much better in the camera. They're basically just a white kind of film, if you will, over the stars. When you're looking at it with the naked eye, but it turns green in the camera. And so I kept looking up. Greg's looking through the camera, and he's fine, but I'm looking up with my naked eye, and I can't see a damn thing. At midnight.
It was after midnight. 22 degrees Celsius in the bus, and outside it's 6.6.
It was cold out there. Iceland definitely, this was September. So the next morning we get up early and we go hiking. We're going to go up to the glacier, which is behind us.
Cold and more cold.
Yeah. So, well, we hiked, we moved,
Yeah, we were moving. We weren't sitting on it.
No, the lake at the end of the glacier is where it, of course, all melts into. This is the small glacier in Iceland on the south coast. But you can see the carving of the walls by the glacier over the eons.
This glacier has retreated a lot in the last few years, even.
Yeah, just even recently, it's been retreating a lot because down where the icebergs are further down in the lake is where it was a few years ago. So we finally get up onto the glacier, and there's waterfalls up here too.
Now all of the black you see there is from the volcanoes. The ash settles down on the glaciers and causes them to go kind of black and has streaks in them. You can see some of the streaks there from the layers of ash put on it. And then we went to the black sand beach, and you can see some of the striations in this side of the mountain, what the volcanoes left, and then some of the
promontories and stuff outside off the coast. They didn't really want you going swimming because the weather was pretty rough. But that is the wall, I believe, from Game of Thrones, or maybe it was Dragonstone.
That was Game of Thrones. This is another waterfall, of course.
And since we decided that we had had enough hiking, we did not need to walk to the top of that, but there is a path with stairs to go to the top. And some of our more intrepid traveler tour mates decided to do so.
All the way up there.
And they've got sheep. This is Icelandic sheep.
Lots of sheep.
Way up on the mountainside, too. Another waterfall. But just the way the mountains were carved was just incredible.
And there's the waterfall.
This waterfall is one we could actually walk behind. So that was
and
pretty cool.
Then there's the other waterfall down there.
And you see how it kind of goes into the building, into the
mountain. This is the one we walked behind. We actually went out and walked behind it and got wet. Of course you get wet, it's water.
Yeah, we're behind it looking at the sun through the waterfall now.
Then we go down a ways and you can hike in sort of to this other waterfall that's inside the mountain, or at least it looks like it's inside the mountain. And there it is.
And that water's cold too because it's again coming off the glaciers.
They're all coming off the glaciers. And that's all we got for this time. Thanks for enjoying our trip to Iceland.